Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining the RC West Oversight Committee public session. This is Christina Osborne. I'm with ISO Stakeholder Affairs. I will be managing the web conference. I'd also like to welcome the new committee chair, Ben Brandt from Idaho Power, as well as the new vice chair, Chris Hoffman from Salt River Project. It's their first meeting as serving as chair and vice chair, so welcome. So I did post the presentation. It is available out on the ISO public website. You can navigate to it by going to the, under the Stay Informed, look for RC West and scroll down at the bottom of the page. You'll find that agenda and presentation links there. We are also recording the session. We will make that recording available once we receive it from AT&T on that same web page. So look for that by early next week. So Ben is going to start us off by doing roll call, and then we have, for general business, we do have a resolution of appreciation, which Ben Brandt will read to the committee. And then Tricia Johnstone is going to lead the discussion on the Oversight Committee charter, the review of that charter. And then for the RC West operations update, we have Tim Beach. He's going to talk about the COVID-19, provide an update on that, the energy emergency alerts, the IRO 002 monitoring, and then the changes to the Southwest conference call. Kathy Fernandez from ISO will provide an update on procedures. And then we have Rachel Lucas and Ginger Quantavala, who will provide the RC metrics update. And then we will have a working group updates, Tim Beach, Rachel Lucas, Tricia Johnstone, Ong U, and Tammy Elliott will provide updates for each of the working groups. And then we'll cover the future agenda items. We will have time at the end of the meeting for public comment, and I'll instruct you how to enter the queue at that time. So I do, before Ben Brandt does the roll call, I know that we do have Eric Schmidt on the line. He's the VP of Operations at the ISO. Are there any other representatives from the ISO who are on the line? If you can introduce yourself, please.
This is John Spomer in legal.
This is Ankit Mishra in EMS.
Anyone else from ISO?
Kiri Sprachti, California ISO.
Okay, great. So Ben, I think you can go ahead and take roll call now.
All right, thank you,
Sure.
Christina. And as Christina said, welcome everyone to the RC West Oversight Committee public session. We'll go ahead and start with the roll call. I'll call out the entities listed in the membership directory, and if the representative for that entity is present, please just answer with your name. Thank you. Arizona Electric Power Cooperative. Avista.
Mike Magruder here.
Brad Kalbick here.
Avangrid Renewables.
Hello, Kip Blair here.
Arizona Public Service. Balancing Authority of Northern California. Bonneville Power Administration.
Michelle Cathcart is here.
California ISO. Sanasi.
Hello, Gabriel Santillan is here.
Chelan County PUD. Douglas County PUD. Grant County PUD.
Leroy Patterson here.
Grid Force, Hetch Hetchy,
Brian Pauling here for Hetch Hetchy.
Imperial Irrigation District,
Matt Smelter, IID.
Lone Star, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, Los Alamos, Modesto Irrigation District, Montana, Alberta Tideline, Nature Inner Power Watch, Nature Inner Wind Watch, Northwestern, NV, Pacific Core,
Eric Brookhouse is on for Pacific Corp.
Thank you, Eric. I'm starting to think I was all by myself. Pacific Gas and Electric, Portland General Electric,
Bob Frost from Portland General's on.
Corey McAllister's on too.
Public Service Company of New Mexico,
Manuel Sanchez.
Puget Sound Energy,
Hey there, Evan Sorrell is on.
Salt River Project, Southern California Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, Seattle City Light, Silicon Valley, Sacramento Municipal Utility District, Snohomish County PUD, Tacoma Power,
John Nuremberg here for Tacoma Power.
Trans Bay Cable, Tri-State, Turlock Irrigation District, Valley Electric Association,
This is Emily Schneider for Valley Electric.
And WAPA, Sierra Nevada.
So then let's check to see if any members dialed in on the participant line. So if you are present, if you can press #2 to raise your hand, that way the event producer knows to open up your line.
And I see a note from Leroy Patterson from Grant County PUD that he is attending, but may have been on mute.
Okay.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hello, Gabriel Santillán with Senace.
Great, thank you.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Leroy Patterson with Grant County PUD.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Howdy, Rory with SCG&E. Unfortunately, I have a problem with the WebEx site. I'm on the WebEx, but I don't get the audio, so I've called in as well.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi, this is Manjot Gill with TID.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
This is Larry Belknap with the California ISO.
All right, at this time, we have no further callers in the queue.
Sorry, Luke, you said no other callers in the queue?
No other callers.
Okay. Okay, Ben, are we ready to?
Does that conclude the roll call then, Christina, or do we need to do a little more work to make sure we get that completed?
I have instructed the people on the participant line to queue up if they are, if they are present. So it looks like we have about 18. This is the count that Chris has.
I noticed that Jim Shetler's on the WebEx list, but I didn't hear him on the roll call, so he might have not been able to get through.
Okay, yeah, just a reminder, just give it another minute. If there are any committee members on the participant line, please press #2 to enter the queue and introduce yourself so that we can capture you for the roll call.
Looks like we just have a few more raised hands. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Paul Olson, Nature Runner, Power Watch, Wind Watch.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay, this is Tony Edison. I thought I was being heard earlier, but then the long pause made me think maybe I wasn't.
Nope, we hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
We have no further callers in the queue.
Okay, so Jim Shetler didn't queue up, but looks like he's on as well. That brings us to 21. Is that correct, Chris? Or? I'm doing my math correctly.
Yep.
Hey, Christina, it might be helpful, because I didn't acknowledge whether or not we actually heard anyone, and there were a number of just blank spots there where people might have thought that they responded. Should we just quickly read off who you have that acknowledged they were here on the roll call, so that if somebody doesn't hear their name, we can be sure and hear from them? Maybe that would clear it all up.
Yeah, so Ben, would you mind doing that? Because I had people sending me chats and everything, so I wasn't able to capture everybody. So I think your list is probably more complete.
Okay, I think Chris was actually keeping the list. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Can you read that off, Chris?
I was keeping count. Sorry, guys.
Looks like we do have a caller that are raised hand. Do you want me to go ahead and unmute him?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Sure. Caller, your line is not unmuted. Please go ahead. Caller, please unmute your device. Okay, we have no further callers in the queue.
And I suppose, Christina, when we do the vote, we'll capture a complete list, so that maybe that will be good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we do have at least 21. So, okay. So let's, if you want to move on to the next item, Ben.
Will do. So the staff there at the ISO has helped us to draft a resolution of appreciation for Michelle Cathcart. As you all likely know, she was the chair of this for some time. So Michelle Cathcart was elected as the chair of the RC West Oversight Committee on March 14th in 2019, whereas Ms. Cathcart added tremendous value to the RC West Oversight Committee throughout her tenure, and whereas Ms. Cathcart enhanced the RC West Oversight Committee's effectiveness, bringing her experience and knowledge to bear on the issues it faced and the stakeholders it represented, and whereas Ms. Cathcart's dedication to reliability and fairness in all matters related to the RC West implementation and operation manifested in effective resolution of complex and difficult issues, and whereas Ms. Cathcart's broad industry experience was a source of valuable insight for her colleagues, and whereas Ms. Cathcart shared her knowledge and assessments openly with her colleagues, and whereas Ms. Cathcart has been a fervent leader, a respected expert, and a friend in every aspect of her career, be it resolved that the RC West Oversight Committee members hereby express their utmost appreciation and sincerest gratitude to Ms. Cathcart for her service and dedication to RC West and its many stakeholders and their varied interests. And do I have a motion to accept this resolution?
This is John Herberg. I motion to accept this resolution.
And a second?
This is Mary Brookout. I second that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any objections to accepting this resolution? Hearing none, this resolution of appreciation for Michelle Cathcart passes. And Michelle, thank you for all of the work that you did, both in the committees and behind the scenes, to move this effort forward. It's been a pleasure working with you on this and many other projects over the years. So thank you for all your efforts in these areas.
Thanks, Ben and committee. I know I've left it in good hands with you and Chris.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments for the resolution or for Michelle? Great. So it looks like we do have a raised hand in queue. So Luke, we'll go ahead and go to that line, please.
All right. Caller, your line is not unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Jim Shelton. I just want to make sure you knew I was here.
Oh, thanks, Jim. Okay, Tricia, are you on? Talk about the charter.
Yes, I am. Okay, so I'm going to queue up the topic here, and then I'm going to kick it back over to Ben and Chris for discussion with the committee. In review of the Oversight Committee Charter, there is a Section 13 which talks about modifications of the Charter, and that the committee will review the Charter on an annual basis or as necessary, determine whether any revisions are warranted. Also part of the annual review, it can include like composition and structure of the working groups. One of the provisions in the Charter is that the Oversight Committee may wish to consider if a smaller group serving in a representative capacity would actually undertake this review and make a recommendation back to the steering committee. And so if you have any questions about that charter is posted on our public website under Stay Informed, RC West, and the link to the charter there. So the section I'm referring to is Section 13. So we had discussed it ahead of time with Chris and Ben to see if it was something we wanted to undertake as a committee as a whole, or if we wanted to put out this proposal potentially to have a smaller group or task force under the Oversight Committee that will actually take on this annual review process. So I'll kick it over to you, Ben and Chris, for that discussion.
Thank you, Tricia. I don't know if everyone has had a chance or taken the time to review the charter and or potentially has any concerns with anything that's in the charter or feels that there's something that needs to be updated or changed. If you do have some concerns or some interest in that area, obviously we would like to hear from you at this point and give you an opportunity to be a part of the group that reviews that and makes any adjustments there. So I guess we could do this a couple of different ways. We could all report back and provide the feedback to Tricia and Christina and the staff there at RC West as far as any adjustments that or concerns that we have there, or we could just assign this to a group of volunteers to review and then report back and make any necessary adjustments. Is there, and I think you can just raise your hand and they'll unmute you and get you set up. Is there anyone that has any specifics around the charter that they feel need to be adjusted, or should we just quickly put together a list of volunteers, or I guess we could even table that and set that task force up offline to not do up too much time. I'm not sure, Christina, do you guys need a list by the end of this meeting of how that review is going to take place?
No. I think if people are interested in being part of that task force, that you either reach out to myself or Ben or Chris, and then we'll, get your information and set something up. Yeah, I think the main thing.
When does this review need to be completed by?
So the charter was actually originally approved at the end of, or actually it was like fall of 2018. It was September 2018. So if you use that date, technically we're behind on the review, but RC West has only officially been in operation since July 1st of last year. So we're giving it a little bit of buffer time. So ideally, I would think that we would want to get feedback before the Q4 meeting, which comes up in November. And so I think the main thing I was seeking today was some guidance from the committee, whether, as you'd said, do individuals just want to provide feedback, or whether you would want to do a breakout with a smaller group. So if we have an idea that, at least that direction today, that would probably be helpful.
Okay. I suppose if it's simple enough that we provide feedback on an individual basis, that we could just give it, we could just request that any feedback be given by that before the November meeting, and then we can address, if there's no feedback, then that would, I guess we could make the assumption that the review was completed and no changes were needed, and we could verify that in the November meeting. And otherwise, if there is extensive feedback, then we could select a group of folks to address that feedback at that time. Is that reasonable?
That sounds like a good proposal.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good proposal.
Do any of the committee members have a concern with that approach?
Hey Ben, you might want to put out a date that you'd like a response back.
What was the date of the November meeting, Christina?
November 10th?
So if we had responses back by October 10th, that'd give you 30 days to collect those. Is that enough time for everybody to review and provide any feedback by October 10th?
Works for me.
Any objections?
No objections.
And again, members, if you are out on the participant line, you can queue up by pressing #2 if you have any comments. And Luke, let me know if anybody enters the queue, please.
At this time, we have nobody in the queue.
Okay. Okay, so are you ready to move on?
I believe we are. So we'll get the feedback to you, and then we'll collect that on the 10th, and we'll address any issues in November.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Tim Beach, are you on?
I am. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Christina. Tim Beach here from RC West. I'll give you some operational updates. First thing is COVID-19. There's no changes to our operating process or posture. Our operations staff remains healthy. We haven't had a diagnosis of COVID within the staff. We do have a quarantine process established for individuals that may come in direct contact with people, whether in their family or in their private life. So we have that established. And we also have we're maintaining our sequester plan if we were to get pushed to that point. Also, I'd just like to mention all the other RCs in NERC in the U.S. and Canada are operating basically in this very same posture. So we're very consistent with the rest of the United States as far as that goes. Energy emergency alerts. So we've had a number of those over the last 6 weeks or so. It's been quite busy. I don't recall a period where we've had so many EEAs in the past like this. And so one thing I'd just like to quickly discuss or mention was, since everybody may not be familiar with all the EEA levels, just what each energy emergency alert level is. So the first level typically is when a BA has all their generation committed for use. So they're meeting their capacity, they're meeting their load, they're meeting their reserves. However, there may be one or two bad things away from going to the next step, which would be EEA2. So it's a sort of a warning stage is the way we like to look at it. EEA2 means that they have load, BA has experienced some trouble, maybe a loss of resource or the load forecast is high, and they are experiencing they're actually have implemented their emergency plan and have taken load management procedures and put those into effect. Example of that may be a demand response. So they've implemented a demand response within their BA and reduced load by taking those megawatts off the system. They're still meeting their contingency reserve and their capacity. And then the next step, the last step, would be EEA3, which means firm load interruption is imminent or in progress. So this is usually when a BA is pretty much determined that it does not look like I'm going to be able to get past this capacity, my load forecast for the day. I am going to be contingency reserve deficient. I may have to dispatch my reserves to meet load. And at that time, there could be firm load shedding in place to preserve the reserves and meet their capacity. So in short terms, that's really what the EA process is all about. So during the period from July 27th to September 5th, and really we had one EEA 3 and July 27th, but the majority of those came within the last 2 weeks of August and the 1st of September. We had 34 different EEAs declared over that period of time, so quite a few. 17 of them were EEA 1s, and they were spread out across the interconnection. We did have a wide or long heat wave occur that affected the whole region, entire region, basically. We had 7 EEA 2s, and we also had about 10 EEA 3s during that period of time. So really, it was sort of the system was pushed pretty hard over that period of time. A number of BAs were experiencing capacity issues and needed to use their emergency plans to manage it and use the NERC process, the emergency process, to manage the capacity shortages. So really, there's some data requests going on right now, are being filled, and WEC and some of the BAs have event analysis teams, so we don't have any lessons learned to be shared yet, but I certainly expect those, like always. So they'll be coming. I expect we'll hear more about that later this fall as they go through the analysis. Really, in my view of it is, this really demonstrated that the BAs, put their emergency procedures to great use and use the EA process to manage your capacity emergencies, which is what it should be. So it was good to see that everybody, was able to do that and was free to do so. Of all those requests, we only had only one of the 34 was not a request from the BA. So 33 of the EA steps were requested by the BA, and then the RC declared them on their behalf. So really, that's just really a strong testament to the use of the procedure and the process, which is what it's meant to be. The EA process, or the EOP 11 NERC standard, is meant for situations just like that. So I really sort of salute everybody during that period of time for doing that. There was very open communications. We had the RCs were proactively talking to BAs that were, we're expecting to hear trouble from, and sort of assessing where they're at and monitoring their conditions as we went through the day. So there's great open communications that way. Any questions on the EEAs? Can we go to the next slide, please?
Sure.
A couple other high points. IRO 002, which is external monitoring. That's where the RC West or RCs have to monitor areas outside of their footprint. So for us, it'd be SPP, BCRC, and Alberta. The engineering staff went through and developed a coordinated list of those contingencies with multiple area RC impacts. So really think about seams areas. And we implemented that July 1st for external monitoring. So just another note is when we look at SPP, since we have so many seams with them, we actually, RC West, we're monitoring virtually all of their system in our RTCA and data status. So that's going good. If we look at BCRC and Alberta, we're probably monitoring at least the southern half, very of those provinces for our RTCA results, and making sure we understand the impacts to paths 1 and 83 as they go across there. So that was implemented July 1st. And then we also had a change to our daily Southwest conference call. So prior to June 1st, or July 1st, we had a Southwest daily conference call was held every day at 4 o'clock. You may have heard about it from the staff. They've been doing that for a number of years. With the retirement of the San Diego I-rolls, we decided that we could probably consider going to an ad hoc basis like we do with the Pacific Northwest call. So we did that. The other reason we thought was that we thought there was maybe a little bit of insensitivity to the call. It was just most days there was really nothing going on. It was just, yeah, we're fine, we look fine. we don't foresee any problems, and the call would end from all the entities. So we really wanted to make it so there was a specific item we could talk about. So we made a change to our procedure, and we've implemented an ad hoc call process that we do that. And some examples where we may call for this call or call for this conference call is if there's a change in the OPA from the time it was published. So if there's a forced outage that had a big effect on the OPA results, we may discuss that. Peak load conditions. So during this last heat wave, we were holding those daily conference calls both in Pacific Northwest and Southwest to talk about the forecast of the conditions as we went into today. We also would do it for BA or TOP requests. So if BA or TOP says, hey, we've got an important item we want to talk about with the rest of the interconnection, they could request that through the RC, and we'd make that, we initiate that call for them. And then that also resulted in a change of our RC 0320. So it's viewed as a very positive change to the way we're doing things. So it really means that if we hold that call, there is something to talk about, and we usually get full participation on the call. So that's a good thing. So, any questions on those two items? Okay.
And
next slide.
Any members on the participant line, just a reminder, you can raise your hand by pressing #2 if you have a question during these updates.
So far, we have no one in the queue.
Okay. Kathy?
Yes. Okay. So I have a list of the recently published procedures here, starting with the most current, going back to June 24th. Most of these were, well, I should say it's kind of half and half, but some of them were for annual review, but with minor edits. There really wasn't any big updates, just a lot of maintenance through all of this. Yeah, that's really about it. Is there any questions on this slide?
Luke, do we have anybody in the queue?
Yes, we do have a caller in the queue. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
And just a reminder to the speakers, if you can manually mute your phone to avoid any background. Oops, sorry, can you repeat your name? Yeah, go ahead. Repeat your name.
Yeah, Ali Yari with SDG&E. And my comment was actually on the information that was presented previously with regard to the San Diego IRO. I just wanted to thank ISO and West RC's effort working with SDG&E. It was truly teamwork, and the outcome is outstanding. So thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so we can go on to the next slide if there's no more questions. Okay, here, I'm sorry.
Luke, was there another question?
No, I was just saying we have no further callers.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, so here I've got a list of procedure updates that are planned for next quarter, but before that I wanted to mention back on June 1st, due to the retirement of the IROL, we retired operating procedures or operational guides, RC 9140, the SDG&E and SANASE import operational guide, and then the RC 9150, the SDG&E import operational guide. We retired those two, and then we created an area guide, this RC 9560, which was issued at the same time, and that this provides an overview of the issue requiring the monitoring and action for the specific conditions in the area. So that was that. And then the updates for next quarter, I don't have the actual details of some of these updates, but they're being coordinated within the the planning committee and the oversight committee. There was a couple of them that were out for review on that. So we're getting those out, and then just a few other type of maintenance updates and some annual reviews. I don't know of any major changes, but this is what is upcoming. So is there any questions for this?
Okay, Luke, anybody in the queue?
We have no callers in the queue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, RC metrics, Q2 update.
Hi there, thanks Christina. This is Rachel Lucas, good afternoon, and I'm here to give a Q2 update on RC metrics. Next slide, please. So first off, talking about state estimator solutions and residual errors. We're showing on one chart here the megawatt as well as megavar residual error sum for a specific month, and we're breaking it out by voltage level, first on the 500 kV, and then secondly with the 345 and 230 kV. We plan to add 138 and 115 kV line data as of June of this year, so we're making some improvements to this as well. And just taking a step back as an overall note, the residual flow is the difference between the calculated state estimator solution flow on each line compared to the actual telemetry value. So this is showing as a reflection of the state estimator accuracy in the total RC West area. Any questions on this slide?
Okay, I don't think we have anybody in the queue either. We can go ahead and move on.
Okay, thank you. This next metric is on DACA accuracy. DACA is our day-ahead contingency analysis tool, which is designed to identify potential contingencies in the day-ahead time frame. So as we move forward baselining for 2020, we anticipate, or hope for the green to get a little bit bigger because that's observed in the day-ahead time frame and showing in real time, and the blue to get smaller because that wasn't observed in day-ahead but showed in real time, with the gray totaling to 100% for each month. Any questions on this metric?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, sorry, this is Evan from Puget. I was double muted on the last slide. What was the y-axis in the last slide there? The error. What's the scale?
Great question. So for the y-axis here, it's the sum of residual error for the entire RC West area. So it's a really large number, and it isn't necessarily entity specific, so it's not providing value. That's why we've removed it. But it's showing the overall trend here for what we're seeing in 2020 as it accounts to residual error. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Luke, anyone in the queue?
No one else in the queue.
Okay.
All right, so our next metric here is for RTCA non-converged contingencies. So this is showing by month the average count of RTCA real-time contingency analysis, non-converged contingencies in a 5-minute interval. So as a note, there's over 8,500 contingencies solved in each RTCA solution, but this is showing on average what that count is per run. And for this slide, we're averaging close to 11 non-converged contingencies in each run for Q1 and Q2 as a whole. Any questions on this slide?
Anybody in?
Rachel, Tim here. I'll just make one comment. We have had a recent breakthrough, and right now we're averaging about 1 or 2 non-converged contingencies per run. So we've had a great improvement since this data was collected in our results. So I just wanted to mention that.
Great point. Thanks, Tim.
Luke, do we have anybody in the queue?
We have no one else in the queue.
All right.
Okay, so the last metric I'll be sharing here today is talking about our issue resolution progress, or our city system for customer inquiries and dispute information. So we've updated this information since we last presented it here in Q1 to include time when a ticket has been identified as a defect or an enhancement. And we're showing not only the timeline of average business days with CAISO support, but the total average business days to close. And I'll actually turn it over to Ginger Quintaval if you'd like to add any more information on this slide.
Thank you, Rachel. I do want to kind of clarify that for everyone, the difference between that yellow line and that gray line, that really large difference means those tickets were sitting with the RC entity, which means we were asking for either additional information or asking you to validate the answer. So I just wanted to clarify that, you know, keeping on top of the city ticket and providing those responses back to us will really limit and bring that yellow line closer to the gray line, which I think is what we're looking for, is to get those tickets turned around quicker. We did note that a problem may be when an answer is provided back to us, the person that's answering the ticket needs to change the status and doesn't always do that, so we don't know the answer's been put in. We are looking to do some enhancements on our side to make it easier for the users. So in the next meeting, I'll be able to provide an update on where we are with that enhancement. But any questions on the data here specifically?
Luke, anybody in the queue?
We have no one else in the queue.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ginger. Thanks, Rachel. So any questions on any of the operations updates before we move on to the working group updates? Oh, okay. So Tim, I believe you're up first for the real-time working group.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Okay, so real-time working group, we have talked about operations briefly, but we have had the same discussion around EEA, so really waiting on the lessons learned there. Our main item that we have going right now is Waves of Task Force. So that's the Wide Area View Situational Awareness Task Force. We're working on displays that we make available through Pi Vision for the HANA users. So that's going along very well. We've published a user guide. Gina Wanzer did that for us here at RC West. We have that posted on the portal. We've made many displays available, and we've had some mock-ups and created some displays from participants on the task force. So we're just about finished with that effort. Our last item now is just to define a process for our RC customers to submit to us to create a display they would like to see in Pi Vision. We believe that's going to come through on a city ticket or something similar like that, but we have yet to officially formalize that process. So that's coming along very well. Very happy with the results. There are a few technical items that we're working through with as far as timeouts too, and we believe that's with firewalls at either here at RC West or at the end user. So that effort's going on. RC Portal, we did have some feedback that on our RC Portal, our contacts list, it was a little ambiguous on who they should call. So we went through and upgraded the contact list reference document, and we also made it more visible on the portal so it can be selected there via link. You can open it up and you can see the different aspects and who to call for the different items. There's a narrative in there on how to do that. We've also added the working groups to that narrative as well. So that was completed earlier this summer, actually. And then also we're working on, really centered on working with the OPWG on their joint task force for operating guides and methodology reviews. So there's some major methodology and procedures going through review right now, and it'll take some time for these. These are usually, once you open them up, there's quite a bit of discussion. Outage coordination, RC 0630, operation planning and analysis, RC 0620, and the SO methodology, RC 0610. So actually doing those one at a time. So I think they're working on the methodology currently, and they'll be completing that probably early this fall, and they'll go on to I believe the outage coordination is next. We're also reviewing our Oregon export operating guide. So there's impacted parties are meeting on that, and we're looking for refinement to improve that operating guide, looking for some efficiencies. Now that we have some experience operating on the operating that cut plane, the Oregon Export IRO. And we've had a number of times where we mitigated on it as well, so we found some things that we could improve on that. So the impacted parties are going through those efforts to revise that guide. And that's all I have for RTWG. Any questions?
Anyone on the queue, Luke?
At this time, we have nobody in the queue.
Okay, Rachel, you're up again for Data Exchange Working Group update.
Hi, Christina. Thanks. So for Data Exchange Working Group, we recently published the IRO 10 data specification towards the end of June and updated some guidance based on working group discussions, as well as expanding the modeling data request to include default load P-fixed and Q-fixed values. Also working through Data Exchange, we've updated the IRO 10 specification to add 3 new requests. The one is for dynamic model for transient stability analysis, which was effective last Friday. A request for the EMS screenshot of the RAS display used by the TOP or the BA system operators if available. And then the third request was queuing up for the RAS information outlined in RC 0690, which is with regards to the PRC 12 implementation effective at the beginning of next year. Then we updated the IRO 10 specification for adjacent RCs to reflect all of the changes that we've made to RC 120A, except for the 2 requests mentioned previously, as they're not applicable to reliability coordinators. Any questions with regards to the data specification?
We have no one in the queue.
Okay. So next, just as a high-level modeling process update, the 2021 modeling schedule is available. And just as a reminder, so the FNM label is what's used to describe and name that specific DB or model build. The customer model document submission deadline is the deadline for those documents to be submitted to the RIMS application. Then the ISO publishes the final scope, which outlines all of the work that will be included in that model build. And then the last column here is production and deployment, where the model will go into production during that week. But a few days prior, the week prior, I believe, we send out a customer service notice to the modeling teams to let them know the final date of when that model will go into production. And that's all I have for data exchange updates. So are there any questions at this time?
We have nobody in the queue.
Okay, Tricia?
I apologize for background noise. My landscaper just showed up right now. So just really brief on System Restoration Working Group. We met in June, and we discussed whether the working group needed to continue as a standalone working group, or if there was potential to combine it under another working group, like the training working group or the real-time working group, or potentially become a task force. And so we had some good discussion around that. The members felt that the discussions and the nature of the work in the System Restoration Working Group is unique enough that they don't want to lose that context by getting blended into another group. So they asked if we could stay standalone. So we don't meet as frequently as a lot of the other working groups. So far, it's just been once this year, and we'll probably meet again once by the end of the year or early January. We've tried to be sensitive to all the other time demands that everybody else is under. The only other thing I think that's notable that we went through is also we had received some wet guidance around the RC requests for GOP participation in the RC drills and exercises. It's also been discussed at the training working group, what that means when the RC extends an invite. And so that was also good for discussion just to make sure kind of everybody was on the same page. So that's very, very high level. Does anybody have any questions about the System Restoration Working Group?
We have no one in the queue.
Great, thank you, Tricia. Okay, Ang Wu for Hannah.
Thanks, Christina. Hi, everyone. We have the monthly HANA CPG meetings, and in addition to following up and resolving the PD tickets, HANA CPG requested the HANA environment availability reports. So we created 4 of them: HANA SC base, SA base, SC subscriber, and SA subscribers. 4 files, and we created them for weekly basis and then post them every Monday under the RC portal. Next slide, please. In the report, we have the process completion time, which has the Pacific time, Mountain time, and the Greenwich Mean Time (GMT). And you will see what the process is coming from. Either it's from the SC state estimator or SA security analysis, which is contingency analysis. And you will see the data source, whether it is from the base or the subscriber. Next slide, please. In the report, and also we will notice a little bit of the timestamp difference from the UI. The reason is UI timestamp is when the process is done, and the report is when the operators can actually see the results. So because of the internal process time, there is like a minute or 2 delay between the UI time and the report time. Next slide, please. This is the example of it. Next slide, please. HANA, this is just the more informational purpose to make sure everybody's aware of it. If HANA subscriber is not available, HANA base can be used as a backup, and both HANA base and HANA subscribers are down, then you can use the HANA steady download cases for your real-time assessment. Next slide, please. This is Brian Pauling. Can we back up 2 slides to the timestamps? Yep.
So from a timestamp perspective, can you help me with which timestamp should the entity be using to determine whether the real-time assessments were done within the 30 minutes? Is it the timestamp that the operators can view, or is it the timestamp that when the UI runs?
So in the UI, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Ankit from the EMS team. It's the report time, which is the time. The time in the report is the time when the user interface gets updated with the results. The only piece that is slightly confusing is that on the UI, when you look at the timestamp, it looks as if the timestamp on the user interface is older. It has a delay. It looks older. And the reason for that is that timestamp is when the internal KAISO network application, internal KAISO RTCA application for the RC operators completed. The time in the report is precisely the time when the user interface gets updated, and the time in the report is what should be used for compliance purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, any other questions? The time stamp?
This is where you can get all these 3 environments related to HANA. I think that's the last slide. Yep. Any other questions?
Yes, Brian Pauling again. So when HANA is not available, how are entities notified that HANA is not doing that real-time assessment? Because entities are like mine are relying on HANA for the most part to be doing that assessment. And when HANA is not available, then our manual processes start to kick off so that we can ensure that the 30-minute requirement is met. So how are we notified or ensured that we are aware, or our operators are aware, that HANA's not up and running?
Sure. Would you like me to take that question?
Sure, please go ahead.
Sure. This is Ankit again from the EMS team. There are various channels through which it's notified to the entities that HANA is down. Some are manual and some are automatic. There are ITCP data points which have been created, which communicate via ITCP, and entities have the ability to alarm their operators using that ITCP notification that the HANA application is down. That's the fastest mechanism. At the same time, the HANA user interface has timers built into it. So the user interface itself has a timer that goes red and extra visible whenever the application is not updating. When it's updating, it's white in color, it's normal status. When the application is not updating, it turns red. So if the operator is watching the HANA UI, they would know that the application is down. In addition to that, when there are planned system maintenance or when there is an extended outage, we notify the RC operators and a GMS message is also sent out that the HANA application is down. That's the manual aspect associated with that. But when it comes to automatic system-generated notifications, it's the ICCP message and the UI indication, which would tell the operators that the application is not working.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You did have this slide. I don't know if you want to cover that.
Oh, this is the example of the report with the 3 time zone. It should have been in the upper one, a little bit earlier slide. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Rachel.
Hey, so today I'm going to be talking about the Operations Planning Working Group with respect to PRC 12 as we gear up for this new NERC standard coming into effect January 1st of 2021. Next slide, please. So for this new RAS review process, RC West has been coordinating with the other neighboring RCs through WEC RAS RS Committee. The interim process of submission as we gear up for the new year is submitting to the ISORC@CAISO.com mailbox with a subject line of the PRC 12 RAS submission 1 month prior to the WEC RAS RS meeting. And then through Operations Planning Working Group, we've developed a customer task force to specifically discuss and review comments regarding proposed procedures for PRC 12, which we plan to make effective with the Oversight Committee's approval for January 1st of 2021. And the 4 procedures, or the 1 procedure with the 3 appendices are mentioned there in the slide. Next slide, please. So the first component of this I'd like to talk about is specific to the RAS database. So for the 9th requirement of this NERC standard, it requires the RC to update and maintain the RAS database. So starting with January 1 implementation, this RAS database will have the scope of the RC West footprint as well as the seams, and this will be available to the RC portal. Most of the RAS entities already in the footprint are RC West customers, so they have this existing access if they are a customer or a neighboring RC. And then other RAS entities may gain access to this information through their transmission operators or through their neighboring RCs. Next slide, please. So with regards to the submissions for PRC 12, RAS entities within the RC West footprint will submit documentation also to the RC West portal in a separate library to review and post for approval if they are initially installing and commissioning a RAS, the RAS having functional modifications, removal of it from service in the event of a failure of a RAS scheme for which the functional modifications will be necessary, and corrective action plans. And I've put in parentheses there the different appendices that are included for these specific items as we've provided checklists for entities to fill out the information that's applicable depending on the RAS review that's necessary. Planning coordinators would also be communicating their periodic review results by submitting to the RC portal in the same library. And then the WEC RAS-RS will still be standing and will allow review quarterly. Based on this review, RC West will notify the customer of approval or any additional actions that are needed based on the agreed to timeline. And then once this review has concluded, RC West will update the RAS database that was previously mentioned. So taking a step back, that's just a high-level overview of the PRC-12 implementation and process that we've been working with on the PRC-12 task force through Operations Planning Working Group. And then with the next slide, we have the decisional item for the approval of these procedures as it is a new process coming into effect. I'll turn it back over to Christina.
Sure, and before we actually take a vote, let's go ahead and see if there are any questions. So for members on the participant line, again, press #2 if you have any questions or comments, or if anybody's on the speaker line, your line is open, so feel free to speak up. Anyone in the queue, Luke?
At this time, we have nobody in the queue.
Okay, Ben, so I think we're ready to take a vote.
All right, I'll go through the roll call again, and we'll take a vote from each of the member entities on approval for RC 0690 and attachments. Arizona Electric Power Cooperative. Okay, I'm not hearing a vote from Arizona Electric Power Cooperative.
Please remember if you're on the participant line.
Oh.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If you're on the participant line, please press #2 so that I can unmute your line.
Great, thank you.
Avista.
Approves.
Thank you. Avangrid Renewables.
Approves.
Thank you. Arizona Public Service. Arizona Public Service. All right, I have no vote from APS. Balancing Authority of Northern California.
Vote yes.
Thank you. Bonneville Power Administration.
Yes.
Thank you. California ISO.
Yes.
Thank you. Tanasi.
Approve.
Thank you. Chelan County PUD.
Once again, if you're on the participant line, please press #2 to cast your vote. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead. Caller, please unmute your device. Okay.
Chelan County PUD. All right, hearing no vote from Chelan County PUD. Douglas County PUD. Douglas County PUD. All right, Grant County PUD. Grant County was on earlier.
Yeah, so press pound 2, and that'll let the operator know that you're in queue.
All right, caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Grant County votes to approve.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Grid Force?
Yes, thank you.
Grid Force? Okay, not hearing a vote from Grid Force. Hetchy?
Hetchy votes to approve.
Thank you. Idaho Power votes to approve. Imperial Irrigation District. Approved. Thank you. Lone Star. Lone Star. I'm not hearing a vote from Lone Star. Los Angeles Department of Water and Power.
And Luke, feel free to interrupt if anybody enters the queue, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Okay, not hearing a vote from Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Los Alamos. Los Alamos. Okay, not hearing a vote from Los Alamos. Modesto Irrigation District. Modesto Irrigation District. Okay, not hearing a vote from MID. Montana, Alberta Tie Line. Montana, Alberta Tie Line. Okay, not hearing a vote. Nature Inner Power Watch.
I thought I heard Paul Olson earlier. Again, press pound 2 to enter the queue if you are on the participant line, Paul.
Looks like we do have a caller on the line. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
The Nature Inner Power Watch and Wind Watch approved.
Thank you. Northwestern Energy.
Northwestern approves.
Thank you. NV Energy. NV Energy. Okay, not hearing a vote from NV. Pacific Corp.
Pacific Corp approves.
Thank you. Pacific Gas and Electric.
Looks like we do have a caller on the line. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Andrew Ellis, PG&E approved.
Thank you. Portland General Electric.
Portland approves.
Thank you. Public Service Company of New Mexico.
PNM approves.
Thank you. Puget Sound Energy.
Approves.
Thank you. Salt River Project.
SRP approves.
Thank you. Southern California Edison.
SCE approves.
Thank you. San Diego Gas and Electric.
Looks like we do have another caller on the line. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
SDG&E approves.
Thank you. Seattle City Light. Seattle City Light.
Looks like we captured him on roll earlier, so if you could queue up by pressing #2 if you're on the participant line.
Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
This is Seattle City Light. We approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley. Not hearing a vote from Silicon Valley. Sacramento Municipal Utility District.
Ben, I believe they submitted their absentee vote. They approved.
Okay, yeah,
Mark
I didn't
Willis.
have that in my list, but thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mark Willis.
Snohomish County PUD.
Snohomish PUD approves.
Thank you. Tacoma Power.
Tacoma Power approves.
Thank you. Trans Bay Cable. Trans Bay Cable. Okay, not hearing a vote from Trans Bay Cable. Tri-State.
And again, Ben, Tri-State did approve. They sent their vote absentee.
Yeah, I do see that one. Thank you. Turlock Irrigation District. Turlock Irrigation District.
I believe they also submitted an absentee vote, but I think Management Gill is on the line.
I don't have their vote in my list, but
okay.
You guys have them. That's good.
Yes.
Valley Electric Association.
Valley Electric approves.
Thank you. And Western Area Power Administration, Sierra Nevada region.
Looks like they're on. Are they on the participant line? Again, press #2 to raise your hand. Carl?
We do have a caller. Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Baba approves.
All right, that completes our list there. Did we get all those recorded? Do we need to go back and check any of those?
This is Tricia. My count is 29, including the absentee votes.
Okay, and I don't believe there were any objections, so I think we're good. I think that's approved.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yep, 69%.
Thank you, Tricia. Okay, and we have our last working group update for training. Tammy Elliott, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Christina. I wanted to let you know that the training working group is a group that meets quarterly. We had our last meeting, our Q3 meeting, and on August 6th, we'll meet again November 12th. And just to give you a quick overview of what we've done and what we're doing and what we're going to do, we have, of course, done the RC system restoration drills. We have completed the Pacific Northwest drills. Those took place in July and August. We did 6 events. We just started the Rocky Mountain Desert area yesterday, and those will continue for 6 weeks. And the California-Mexico region will start tomorrow and continue for 6 weeks. We have we have a drill format that includes 2 exercises. In the morning, we do a black start case, and in the afternoon, we start a brand new case with multiple islands, which gives entities the opportunity to synchronize islands within their TOP area and synchronize with their neighboring TOPs, and to perform the BA function. The feedback that we've gotten on that has been positive. The thing that the entities like, the operators like the most is our brick simulator. It's we've got feedback that's very intuitive, it works well, doesn't crash, and so they appreciate that. And also, as far as the improvements we could make, you can imagine the challenges of doing system restoration drills with some operators gathering in groups almost as normal and other operators working from home. So communications was challenging, but we continue to improve each week. We use specific phone numbers. We use the chat within the WebEx. We also use, obviously, the conference call itself to make the required communications. So a new drill that we did this year, which was very timely and a great exercise, was BA reserve deficiency exercises. We offered up, they're really basically one-on-one, the RC West RC operators along with the BA. ABA, so it's very specific to them. We were able to do 10 of those exercises between July 23rd and August 27th. So it was a tabletop that allowed the RCs and the BAs to practice their communications during conditions that required declaration of an EEA 1, 2, or 3. So that was pretty timely. The feedback we got on those was that it was great to have that kind of collaboration in such a, one-on-one type situation to really get into the specifics for the BA that's involved. So we are looking to do those again in 2021. We've also completed 2 GOP-specific restoration exercises. We did one in March, and we just completed the second one September 9th. And those are GOP focused, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on those exercises. For 2021, we have already set the dates for the system restoration drills. They're going to take place between February 1st and March 12th. We're going to continue with the same regional format where we do the Pacific Northwest area, Rocky Mountain Desert area, and then California, Mexico. And that's what I have for you from the training working group.
Okay, so any questions? That's the last working group update that we have. So if there are any questions for Tammy or any of the other working group leads, please feel free to speak up or enter the question queue.
This is Evan from Puget again. Just wanted to pass on that, like she said, we really appreciate the flexibility with operators working from home and other places and working hard on the communication. So thanks a lot for that during those Black Start drills.
Thank you. At this time, we have no callers in the queue.
Okay. So this is the final agenda item, just to talk about future topics for the November 10th public session. So any topic suggestions? None? Okay. So we do have plenty of time for public comments. So if anybody from the public on the line has a question, feel free to enter the queue by pressing pound 2. We just ask you identify yourself first, please.
Hey, Christina, this has been just, considering some of the struggles we have with communication over WebEx and all of that, should we remind folks that they can contact either myself or Chris or you directly if there are some topics that they would like to include in future meetings?
Yes, absolutely.
Looks like we do have a caller in the queue.
Great.
Caller, your line is now unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Eric Barron with YRAB, and I just wanted to ask a question, I guess, regarding the executive session this afternoon. I saw that there was a conversation about the RC performance metrics, and I was wondering if the RC staff could sort of allude to what the nature of that conversation will be about.
Yes, this is Tricia Johnstone. So I actually had a correspondence with Mary Fern about it. The RC metrics that we cover in the executive session are a little bit more of a sensitive nature in that they contain entity-specific information. So very closely related to the metrics that we discussed in the public session, but we break down into information that the RC West customers prefer we not share publicly.
Okay.
All right. We have no further callers in the queue.
Okay. So what I'll do then, using your suggestion, is when I send out the charter to members, I will include the contacts in there. So if any of the members do have topic suggestions, feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'll include them on the next agenda. Will that work?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah, no problem. So that concludes the meeting. So we are going to go ahead and disconnect the web conference. We do appreciate all the participation of the public for this meeting. So thank you for joining us. So Luke, if you could disconnect the web conference and also turn off the recording. For the members that are on the speaker line, please stay on the speaker line. For the other members, I'm going to forward out the invite again. Please use those meeting details to join the exec session.